Uh, Hello, everybody. Today we start our lecture number 9. The title is Physical Properties of Food Products. And the aim of this lesson is to introduce students, to introduce you to methods for determining the physical properties of food raw materials and the food products. And the first about the plan of the lesson. There are 3 parts. Part number 1 is physical properties of food products, and next is thermophysical properties of food products, and part number 3 is physical and the chemical indicators of food products. And first, about the physical properties of food products. Functional properties are understood as physical, chemical, and the other characteristics that determine the behavior of the product during storage and the processing, and as well as providing the desired structure, technological, and the consumer properties of finished products. And in some cases, the term technological properties is used to determine the functional properties of the product. And in culinary products are made from a variety of components or ingredients. And the ingredient is a substance of animal, plant, and the microbiological or mineral origin, and as well as natural or synthesized food additives used in the preparation or production of a food product and present in a finished product in its original or modified form. And the ingredients differ both in their aggregate state and in their physical properties. And among them, there are liquid and powderable products, as well as having a pasty and a solid consistency, and the individual instance of the food products that have a solid consistency can be characterized by linear, sometimes wide, significant dimensions. And when considering the functional properties of individual products, it is necessary to take into account the physical properties of both single copies or packaging units and a large commodity batch of the homogeneous products as a whole. And the primarily applies to bulk and the liquid products transported and stored in the so-called bulk, whey grain, flour, cereals, root vegetables, and the dairy product, wine, and the vegetable oil, and etc. Next, about the physical properties of food products. The physical properties of the products include structural and the mechanical properties, such as solubility, self-storing ability, body hold capacity, sorption, and the thermal properties. Maybe you know what is characteristic of the food and the food products. For example, is texture. And the texture of the products is defined as all the rheological, mechanical, and the structural attributes of the product perceptible by means of mechanical, tactile, visual, and the auditory receptors. And the structural characteristics are preserved in 3 stages of ingestion, representing of the food. They are initial and masticatory and the residual. Initial characteristics of food and food products include such as hardness, brittleness, and the viscosity. And the second group is masticatory, includes the gumminess, chaviness, brittleness, and the adhesiveness, and the hardness, and the viscosity of food products. And the next about the third group is the residual characteristics. And the physical characteristics of foods are related to a reaction of the food to stress, and they can be divided into primary parameters of hardness, cohesiveness, and viscosity, elasticity, and adhesiveness. And next about the chaviness and the gumminess, brittleness of the food and food products. Hardness, force required to compress a substance between the molars, the solid foods, or between the tongue and the palate, is semi-solid, to give the formation or penetration and the disintegrate as soft, firm, or hard. Under the tenderness, chaviness, and the toughness of the food product is energy required to masticate a solid food product to a state ready for slowing, and involves compressing, sharing, and etc. And the elasticity. Elasticity of the product is the rate at which the deformed material regains its original conditions after the removal of the deforming force. And then next, about the viscosity. Viscosity of the food or food raw materials. It is a force required to draw a liquid from a spoon over the tongue and described as the thin water or tea. And the next is gumminess. It is the energy required to disintegrate a semi-solid food, and it is a characteristics of product with a low degree of hardness and a high degree of cohesiveness. And this video was prepared by the next authors. And the next, about the structural and the mechanical properties. Structural and mechanical properties, features of the products that are manifested under shock, compressive, tensile, and other influences. Under these properties characterize the ability of products to resist or change under the influence of the external forces. Under this includes the strength, hardness, elasticity, and the ductility and the viscosity. First, about the strength. Strength as the ability of a solid body to resist a destruction when an external force is applied to it during tension or compression, is one of the most important structural and mechanical properties. The strength of the material depends on its structure and the porosity. Materials that have a linear, particle agreements and a lower porosity are more durable. And as a stronger a single instance of the product is less, and it is destroyed or deformed. And the strength is important for the qualitative characteristics of the products, such as pasta, refined sugar, cookies, fruits, vegetables, and the others. And if the products are not strong enough, the amount of scrap and the crumbs increases. And the next is characteristic is hardness. Is a local strength of the body, which is characterized by the resistance to the penetration of another body into it. And the hardness of products depends on their nature, shape, structure, size, and the location of atoms, and as well as the forces of intermolecular attraction. The hardness of crystalline bodies is affected by crystallization in water, which weakens the internal bonds and reduces the hardness. And the hardness is determined when assessing the degree of maturity of fresh fruits and the vegetables and the signs their tissues soften when they are mature. And reducing the hardness indirectly affects the preservation of fruits and the vegetables, and especially their resistance to microbiological damage. And the next characteristics of the product is deformation. The ability of an object to change its size, shape, and structure, and the influence of external influences that cause the placement of individual particles in relation to each other. And the deformation depends on size and the type of load, structure, and the physical and the chemical properties of the object. And the deformation can be reversible and irreversible, and with the reversible deformation of the original size, shape, and the structure body after removing the load return, when the irreversible not restored. And the ability to reverse deformation is characterized by elasticity and there's a difference between which in the time during which initial parameters are stable. And the irreversible deformations are caused by density. And the next characteristic is elasticity. The ability of an object to instantly reversible deformation, and this property is possessed by baked products, for which the elastic properties of the crumb are one of the most important indicators that characterize the degree of freshness. And for the end is flowability. The ability to move on inclined planes, and all powder products, for example, flour, cereals, granulated sugar, and the others, as well as consisting of single copies of a more or less rounded shape. For example, grape, root vegetables, many fruits have good flowability. Next, about the thermophysical properties of the products. Any mass of the product as whole has a number of thermophysical properties, of which the most important are the heat capacity, thermal conductivity, thermal conductivity and the thermoglob conductivity. And then next about the temperature of the product. Temperature of the product is one of its most important characteristics and it depends on the ambient temperature. When moving products from one medium to another, temperature changes occur, which can cause concentration and moisture. As a result, the mass of products may increase and unstable qualitative changes may occur. For example, microbiological damage, metal corrosion, and etc. And the temperature of products significantly affects their preservation, so its optimal limits are set for each product group or individual product. For example, the temperature of milk should not be higher than 8 degrees, but not lower than about 0 degrees. Next slide about the physical and the chemical indicators of food products. First, about the acidity of the products. Maybe do you know about the acidity? Yes, there are 10 points. For example, from 3 to 6, it's a point from 3 till 6. This product is acidic. If the point is natural, maybe pH is 7, this product is natural product. And if the point from 7 till 10, this product is alkaline. Yes. And the acidity of food products refers to the most important characteristics of food materials, and semi-finished products and finished products. Is determined in the vast majority of products with very rare exceptions. For example, it is not determined in sugar, sand, and the chocolate, and the number of other products. And the most often, food standards specify titrated acidity, which is determined by the amount of alkali solution consumed to neutralize the acidity contained in 100 grams of the food product. And the titrated acidity is expressed as a percentage of the prevailing acid in the product, such as lactic acid in the bread, and in dairy products, sauerkraut vegetables, and the fruits, or acetic acid in the marinades, beer, and the juices. And it can also be expressed in the degrees of acidity. For example, for bread, and in the degrees of tuna for dairy products. And the wines take into account the total and the volatile acidity. And the next about the determination of food acidity. Food acidity are usually organic acid with citric, malic, lactic, tartaric, and the acetic acid being the most common. And there are two ways to express food acidity. Two groups. Group number 1 is titrable acidity, and group number 2 is a hydrogen concentration, pH. Titrable acidity is a sample estimate of the total acid content of food, and the beta predicator of the acid impact on flavor. And the pH, hydrogen concentration, is dependent on the strength of acid conditions. And this is as betweens. And the next, the organic acid present in foods influence flavor and the color, and is the growth of microorganisms, and providing the proper environment for metal ion chelation. And the organic acid may present naturally by fermentation and added as part of specific food formulation. And the importance of determining the food acidity. First, determine the degree of maturity of fruits and vegetables. And the second, to determine the freshness of fruits. And the third, acidity indicators reflect the quality of food. And the fourth, determination of acid on the microbial fermentation processes. And the chemical methods in the food products determine the humidity, ash content, citric acidity, and the content of table salt, sugars, fiber, quintessence, fat, protein substances, as well as vitamins and the enzyme preparation. And the product moisture is the amount of the moisture contained in the product. Foods are made up of the water and the dry carbohydrates, fiber, protein, and the other nutrients. And the determination of moisture in the finished product is necessary to check the quality of the product. And the compliance with the state standards, which is associated with a long storage. And the moisture content of the product is judged by the dry residue after drying, and in dried food products, residual moisture is found. And the determination of moisture by drying is carried out by the heating to the highest possible temperature, and at which the decomposition of the dried product does not yet occur. Dry at normal atmospheric pressure and high temperature, not over the 55 degrees. And at low atmospheric pressure is a vacuum and high temperature, and at low atmospheric temperature between, for example, 0 degrees. And the next is glossary. And there are many terms, for example, a quality system, production control, reliability, and the subject, and the quality of food product. The quality system is a set of organization structures, responsibilities, procedures, processes, and the resources that provide overall quality management. And the next term is production control. Compliance with standards, medical and biological requirements, and the sanitary standards at all stages of the production, which use of raw materials, processing, storage, and the sale of finished products. Next term is reliability. Reliability is ability of the product to perform the required functions under specified conditions for the specified period of time. And the subject is a person who takes part in tests that aim to study the person, his reaction to a product, rather than evaluating the quality of the product. And the next term is the quality of food products. The quality of food products combines organoleptic value, such as color, taste, aroma, consistency, and the safety of the food. Next is a product quality indicator. It's a quantity characteristics of one or more product advertised. And what is a food products? Products used by a person for food in natural or processed form. And about the food materials may be doing. And the next term is the quality of food products. Is a set of the characteristics to determine the consumer properties of food products and ensure their safety for humans. And the next slide is the control test questions. Not test, control questions, self-controlling. There are 6 questions. Question number 1. Name the structural and the mechanical properties of the materials and food products. And the question number 2. What is the strength? Strength of the food or food products. Question number 3. What is the hardness? What this term is mean? And question number 4 is how do you understand the deformation of the product? And the next question is what is the solubility? And the question number 6, how as the absorption properties of the product is evaluated? Okay, understand the questions? Thank you for your attention. Есть вопросы?
Вопросов нет.
Хорошо, тогда можете эту презентацию загрузить с неба. Хорошо?
Хорошо.
You may log out from the